The 5th generation LS made its debut at the January 2017 North American International Auto Show. So back in 2015, Lexus actually gave everyone an idea of what this new LS sedan would look like. They called this concept car the LFFC, and if you look at it closely, you can see that 80% of this concept car actually made it into real life. Now, of course, they had to tone it down a little bit, but for the most part, the majority of the styling cues presented in the concept would carry over to the new LS sedan. It is the second Lexus model to be built on what's known as the GAL platform after the LC500. And if you wanted a V8, well, you could just forget about that. Another interesting thing about this LS500 is that it was the first LS to be powered by a V6 engine. So if you did get this car, you would be stuck with a V6. Now, to be fair, the V6 is quite powerful. The twin turbo produces 415 horsepower and 440 pound-feet of torque. The wheelbase is nearly 2 inches longer than the previous long wheelbase model, which was the LS460L, which you see here on the screen. The height is also about a ½ inch lower, and Lexus designers said they wanted to lower the height as a way to give the new LS a 4-door coupe profile. So let's talk about the hybrid version a little bit. The LS500H uses the multi-stage hybrid system, kind of like the one they use in the LC500H. Like the LC500H, it uses a lithium-ion battery, and this is a completely different material than what was used in the previous LS600H. And there is even one known as the LS350, which uses a naturally aspirated V6 engine from the GS350, and it produces 318 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. But there is a catch: this model was only sold in China. So the 5th generation LS received a facelift in 2020 for the 2021 model year. The LS V6 got an updated piston design aimed to lower emissions when the engine is cold. The hybrid variant received several hardware and software upgrades, improving the acceleration of the vehicle. The interior of the LS was further refined with revised seats, higher resolution rearview mirror, and updated leather options. So when the Lexus LS first came out back in 1989, it had a successful launch into the luxury arena after the first generation Acura Legend. This luxury market that Lexus was now invading had been long dominated by established European and American brands, and it was an uphill battle. But by 1991, with the LS400 its top-selling model, Lexus had overtaken Mercedes-Benz and BMW in overall sales in the United States. Fast forward to 2000 and Lexus beat Cadillac as the luxury sales leader. And of course, the other luxury brands just couldn't sit back and allow this to happen. So they responded with lower prices and added features as a way to lure prospective customers away from Lexus. So now that we discussed the 1st generation LS, let's get back on the topic of the current generation. Unfortunately, the LS has seen better days, as the 2025 model carries over without a single update. That's disappointing but not surprising, as the latest generation is already 8 years old and sales have been steadily declining. In 2018, Lexus sold 9,301 flagship sedans in the United States. That number has fallen significantly, and sales totaled a mere 2,237 units last year. So that means the Mercedes S-Class outsold the LS to a 5-to-1 ratio. And the BMW 7 Series, with its polarizing design, really wasn't all that far behind. The current 5th generation LS has gotten long in the tooth, and as I mentioned earlier in this video, it hit the scene way back in 2017. And yeah, that's pretty much an eternity in the automotive industry. All of its competition has either gotten redesigns or significant updates. It did manage to outsell the Audi A8, but it trailed behind the segment leaders, the S-Class and the 7 Series. And to make matters worse, we now have a new ES. The new Lexus ES is even larger than before, inside and out. So it's going to rival the LS in terms of interior space, just like the outgoing model. So I don't know what's going to happen with the LS. The LS has been one of my favorite sedans since the 90s. I've been wanting to add either a 1st generation LS400 or a mid-cycle refresh 2nd generation to my collection. But either way, it would be sad to see this name disappear. After all, the LS name is what pioneered the Lexus brand. It kicked the Germans' asses and made life difficult for its competition, which was the Q45 back then. Whenever someone said the word Lexus back in the day, the LS was usually the first thing that came to mind. But yeah, nowadays the LS is really just a shell of its former self. And you know, there's even been talk of the LS transforming into an SUV. There has been no official word from Lexus regarding this, but several sources have stated this. I think it would be an abomination if they slapped the LS name on anything other than a sedan and turned it into an SUV. I'd rather just see the LS cancel completely than turn into another SUV. And besides, you know, Lexus already have enough SUVs. The LC has been on the market for quite some time too, but it still looks great. Everyone thought this car was going to be discontinued, so I was surprised when Lexus said this car will be getting a significant refresh and will remain on the market. The LC is one of the most beautiful grand touring cars in production, but I was always perplexed as to why Lexus never offered its 5-liter V8 in the LS. At a minimum, it could have at least been optional alongside the V6. But anyway, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Lexus has recently stated that the LS is not going anywhere and that the nameplate will survive. At the same time, there is no word on a redesign or a significant update. It is possible it could follow the path of the Toyota Century, which recently added an SUV variant alongside a traditional sedan. Whether the next LS remains a traditional sedan or transforms into something entirely new is up in the air. So sound off in the comments and share your thoughts on what you think Lexus should do with this full-size luxury sedan.